I just recorded this whole video only for Premiere Pro to glitch out on me. Well, round 2. Before I can continue with the modern Persona games, I want to go back to the 3 games 90% of the fanbase haven't played. I guarantee if you say Nelia around a group of modern Persona fans, at least one of them is going to reply with, I believe her name is Naoto? Regardless, this is the game that started it all. Well, no, that would be the 17 other games that came before this, but is Persona 1 still worth playing today? As usual, I'm going to recap the story first, but feel free to skip ahead to the review portion. I'll leave it timestamped below. Probably. We open with Nelia and his friends preparing to play the Persona game. Because every time Japanese teens play a supernatural game, it always ends well.
Yukino!
Oh, what the hell? I didn't even play. I was watching from the sidelines. While unconscious, we dream of Vega from Street Fighter, who's been battling schizophrenia or something. He's calling himself Philemon now, going on about personas. I don't know. We wake up in the nurse's office where we learn getting struck by lightning has its own advantages, because we get the rest of the school day off, but only to go to the hospital to get checked up and visit our sick classmate Maki. So we take Nanjo, Mark, and Yukino to visit a very drugged up Maki. Look at her portrait, not a single cohesive thought behind those eyes. She starts to OD from the lethal combination in her system, so we wait in the lobby, when an earthquake hits the town, causing the ICU to disappear, zombies rise up, they kill Nanjo's butler who's been following us around all day. We defeat them with our newly awakened personas. Ellie shows up, awakens to her persona, and tells us that it's complete anarchy in the town. Demons have invaded, Maki's mom was hitting a drive-by, it's impossible to escape the town. We get to Miss Sonomura, who's been shot by an assassin her boss Kandori sent to take her out. You would think the president of Sebek, a multi-million-dollar corporation, could hire a quality assassin, or at least one that made sure the target was neutralized. But Miss Sonomura was working on the Deva system, a reality-altering machine, which is the cause of all the crazy shit happening in the town. We take her back to the school to get patched up, and find an old prop drama department retired. They think it's cursed. Yeah, I'll believe that when the dead start walking here. Bad example. I'll believe that when hell freezes over. Yeah, I kinda jinxed myself with that one. Miss Seiko put on the mask, getting possessed by the Snow Queen. Philemon shows up to give us a mirror that can defrost her. We just need to find the mirror shards that are being guarded by past wearers of the Snow Queen mask. Before we can tackle the towers, we need to do some team building. We already have Yukino and Ayase, so we recruit Ellie, and on our way to recruit Brown, this kid Toro is absolutely demolishing the school's ration supply. He's stress-eating because Ayase rejected him in a not-so-graceful manner.
I hate your guts, I hate your family, I hate your dog, I hate what you stand for.
Toro awakens to his persona, Mara. Damn, I had no idea he was packing a meat mallet like that. Listen, if that thing gets any bigger, he's gonna have to wheel it around in a chariot. We work the shaft as a team, leading to Ayase and Brown to awaken to their personas. We leave behind the newly castrated Toro to head to the Thanatos Tower. It's being guarded by Yuriko. After her defeat, she goes on about her tragic backstory, that she wanted to stay young and beautiful forever, so the mask gaslit her into dying by playing into her fear and sadness, and I got the mirror shard, I don't really care anymore. We go to the Nemesis Tower, controlled by Michiko. In life, she was basically a gender-swapped Seto Kaiba, using money to bribe those around her, or paying to have their lives ruined so she could further her own personal goals. And in defeat, she learns absolutely nothing, and gives us the typical cursed you meddling kids, I'll get you back for this someday, and never gets seen again. In the Hypnos Tower, we see that Kumi was getting harassed by the drama club for not taking the play seriously, and at home she was being yelled at by her dad for not taking her grades seriously, which is when the Snow Queen offered her the simple solution to death. That way she could dream for all eternity. She gets Maggie Dolan a couple dozen times and we get the last mirror shard to thaw out Miss Psycho. By destroying the mask, it's revealed to have been harboring the spirit of Tomomi, Miss Psycho's high school best friend. She let her get the lead in the school play, and the mask left her looking like Angel from Digital Devil Saga. The mirror put her soul to rest, but awakened the Night Queen from the mask, and she'll be waiting at the top of the tower. Why does this sound familiar? No matter, Night Queens always fall victim to the power of friendship. Mark got kidnapped while we were saving the school, so we take Nanjo and Maki, who just got out of rehab, to go save him. And Brown is also there because he tried looting a police station. Now that we have a full party, we're ready to go raid Sebek and find out what the hell is going on around here. We corner the CEO, Kandori, and he locks himself in the Deva system with Dr. Nikolai, who tries to correct the error of his ways by blowing up a volatile machine while the townspeople are in the immediate vicinity. But a little girl in black appears and teleports us to the school. Divine intervention at its finest. We can go back to being average high schoolers. Well, not yet. We find Yosuke, who was believed to have run away with his girlfriend, Chisato, but actually, they were dragged here, to an alternate world, by Aki, the girl in black. And to top things off, this Maki belongs to this world, while our Maki is in the ICU strung out on opiates, We surround Aki and she summons a giant mechanical gerbil to distract us while she escapes. We try searching for Kandori but get trapped in the mall. The only means of escape is with permission from the harem queen. So, looks like we have to go pay her a little visit. Any minute now. He can't keep hitting all those Marin Karens. No wonder Mitsuru loves to spam this move, it's devastating when it lands. We get to the harem queen and see that she's Maki's best friend Shisato. And she's always been jealous of Maki and blah blah blah. Screw all that. After getting charmed hundreds of times back to back to back, I'm not playing games. This hee-ho is gonna get what's coming to her. Fuck! That chocolate chip-faced bitch gets her ass beat. But before we can land the killing blow, Yosuke comes in professing his love for her. And they live happily ever after. It's sickening. Kandori is hiding out in Aki's castle, that we can only enter after getting a compact from Mai, Aki's sister. In the castle, we discover that Kandori needed Mai's compact to maximize Aki's power, to transform the Sebek building into a giant pyramid. This guy really traveled worlds and built a reality-altering machine, just for exterior renovations. I could have found 4 dudes at Home Depot who would have done that work for $500 in a 6-pack. In the Haunted Mansion, we find Miss Sonomura, who conveniently knows how to stabilize an interdimensional portal, allowing us to go fight Kandori. In the real world, he's been brainwashing people to adhere to his edgy, suburban 12-year-old mentality, that nothing matters and we should all die. Kandori goes on a crazy power trip calling himself a god. But this is SMT, so Nanjo shoots Kandori, and that's yet another god rejected. He's really holding on to this whole god shtick. Even with his new Zelda boss form, he's no match for the almighty Uzi. In his dying breath, Kandori reveals that the parallel world we were in is an ideal world created by the real Maki. It's connected to the Deva system. And this Maki, Aki, and Mai are all part of her subconscious, causing imaginary Maki to go into an existential crisis and run back to the ideal world. We follow her back, ending up in the Lost Forest, where Mai informs us that Aki woke up Pandora, the violent, suicidal side of Maki that wants to end this world. To stop her, we need to find the last compact. Nanjo pontificates imaginary Maki until she rejoins the party, and we head to Ayala Cavern, where the last compact is being guarded by the real Maki's subconscious. Imaginary Maki gives real Maki an inverted version of the I am thou, thou art I speech, convincing her to give us the last compact needed to enter the Evita world, where we confront Pandora. I thought I finally finished Resident Evil a few videos ago, so why oh why am I still fighting giant flesh combobulations? We pound this meat sack till a butterfly emerges from it. Maki fuses with Pandora and sends everyone back while she deactivates the Deva system. Philemon congratulates us for completing our quest by removing his mask. This is the big payoff. After being charmed for hours on end, my reward is seeing an old Japanese man. If I wanted to see this, I'd play Persona 5. Screw it, let's go to the epilogue. Maki miraculously recovered and fixed her mommy issues. And after seeing Mark's determination to save her, and pushing everyone to keep going for her sake while also being the only guy to visit her in the hospital, Maki decides, screw him, and gets with Nalia. Mark, after getting brutally cucked, moved to New York and became a famous artist. You can find some of his work by searching Masao Inaba R34. Nanjo became the head of the family company, the Nanjo Group, running the business into the ground, causing other companies to end their partnerships with them, leading into the events of Persona 3. Brown becomes a micro-celebrity that gets propelled into superstardom after telling the story of that time he shit himself in middle school. I'm not kidding, that's canon. Nalia's fate is left for the player to decide. That's the beauty of it. He could be anywhere, dealing drugs on Port Island, committing vehicular manslaughter in Inaba, or working for the Illuminati. Is the first Persona game worth a playthrough? Simply put, if you're a JRPG fan, you're more likely to enjoy it. If you're a fan of the modern games, it's gonna be more hit or miss. With this being the first game, obviously there's a lot of features and mechanics missing that would get introduced in later entries. And what remains is different from where the series would one day end up. I was a little hesitant about playing the game at first. For the beginning 15 to 20 minutes, I kept thinking, not even Persona fans care about this game that much. I've never heard anyone say Persona 1 was their favorite, so maybe I could skip ahead to Innocent Sin without anyone noticing. At the hospital is when I first started to really get drawn in. The earthquake hits, Nanjo's butler gets killed by zombies. Your friends give you the choice to save a nurse or let her get eaten alive. That whole beginning sequence is a clusterfuck that turns into an intricate and profound story, which is what I like about the first 3 games compared to the modern games. They don't need hours of tutorials and character introductions, which is for better and for worse. You'll progress a lot quicker while also having to find out key information on your own, like the Velvet Room. I was waiting for a cutscene where Igor gets his important introduction while giving his whole "I am delighted to make your acquaintance" speech. Instead, Igor is off, waiting in a quiet little corner of the mall, waiting with his attendants like, are they gonna show up? Philemon said they were supposed to be here an hour ago. The story is better than I thought. I'd heard bits and pieces online, but I could say firsthand, it's alright. There were a couple nitpicks I had, like Maki not recognizing her child self, but the method of storytelling is more focused on a small group used during the quest rather than a large group of characters with varying degrees of screen time. It makes the cast grow on you quickly, seeing how their personalities and dynamics mesh in cutscenes and safe rooms. Their interactions feel genuine, but there's very little depth to anyone not named Maki. She's easily one of the best written characters in Mega 10. At times, it feels like she's the protagonist of the game. With you seeing half a dozen versions of her, it paints a very detailed picture of her inner struggles, showcasing the person she wants to be versus a variety of her negative emotions. But this complex character writing isn't there for anyone else. This is Maki's story and everyone else is along for the ride. On to where you'll be spending most of your time, the gameplay. At first, I like the demon negotiation better here than the more simplified version that got reintroduced in 5. Here, each character has different tactics that work depending on the demon's personality. Sometimes Najo can bribe them, other times Maki will need to lie, or you'll need to switch between multiple characters. It's an interesting mechanic, but as the game progresses you'll find demons with up to 4 personality types. That's when I stopped trying to memorize and looked up a guide. That may or may not even work. Depending on the moon phase, demons get pissed off no matter what you say, even though you're choosing the right options the guide is giving you. And you'd think with an insanely high encounter rate you'd have an abundance of XP, right? Yeah, you have to do all these battles, but you could quickly level up to use cool OP personas to nuke them. Well, here's the kicker. No, XP isn't spread equally. It's given out based on how much damage a party member does in battle. For example, if Naoya does a strong AoE attack, and the rest of the crew picks them off, Naoya is still getting more XP despite not killing a single enemy, which leads to the party getting really unbalanced. At one point, Naoya was level 43, and Brown somehow got all the way up to level 49 just by playing naturally. I know earlier this year a remake was confirmed to exist at Atlas, and if it ever sees the light of day, the Persona system needs a huge overhaul. And I don't mean getting cards from negotiations, that's fine, I actually enjoyed that. What I mean is, the late game Personas are still learning first tier skills. What good is grinding someone like Maki all the way up to level 60 for her ultimate Persona, if the starting skill is Media, a skill I've had access to all game. I think the best workaround would be maybe to implement mutations from Persona 2. And for God's sakes, nerf the elements. It felt like whenever I try to hit one, it misses. But whenever the enemies do it, it always hits one party member. Most of the time for multiple turns. While these issues can be a little annoying, at the end of the day, you're getting a solid RPG that, while arguably it's the worst Persona, the story is still far better than plenty of other games at the time. Hell, I'd even make the argument that it outdoes some games that are coming out today. Like I said earlier, I know He Who Shall Not Be Named leaked the remake's existence, but I believe in giving the earlier versions a shot. I know when I eventually do a future playthrough of one of the modern games, it'll make the experience a lot sweeter, seeing the evolution of where the series began to where it is today. Seeing where the series began to where it is today. Well, that's all I got for this one. I'm gonna go bang my head against the wall until I start seeing the Velvet Room. So subscribe, or don't. Either way, I'm gonna head out. Later.